Hey everyone, my name's Sean, and my hot take for this week is strip clubs and the rise of male dominance. First, I'm going to go over a summary of the article and then give you guys some other articles that I'm going to use for my discussion questions. So the article first starts off by talking about how strip clubs have been expanding for the past decade. And some people argue that stripping is a form of empowerment for women. However, the article poses a different argument to what people say about stripping and how it affects our communities. Stripping has always been about sexually exciting men, dating back to classical Greece. Um, and the premise about sexually exciting men does not equate towards equality for women, although some people still believe it does empower women. Stripping involves lots of crime in it and negatively affects women in the industry. And during the 20th century, stripping became a lot less censored, so women were able to be naked in strip clubs. And this led to a boom in the pornography industry. And this boom in the pornography industry put men in power. Men basically made lots of money in the pornography industry during this time period. And with the money, they put it towards owning strip clubs and hiring strippers. And that's why men are still in power of strip clubs today. Uh, in the 1980s, stripping then moved to America, where women had to pay to be a stripper at a club. And this meant that strippers would earn very little money, which is not what is usually known to others. That strippers don't make that much money because they have to actually pay to be a stripper in the strip club, which means that most of the money goes towards the owners. So feminist opinions are divided on stripping, as the article says. Some people state how strip clubs further to gender roles that see women as objects, and other people state that the role women play as strippers enable women to have power over men, which is the reverse of society's conventional view. Prostitution has lots of research detailing physical effects women experience, whereas there's very little research on how strippers are treated. Um, Research is very scarce on where exactly stripping takes place and what exactly goes on within those strip clubs and how the women are actually treated. And this has led to a bunch of undocumented deaths and injuries in the stripping industry that just get swept under the rug. The notion that stripping gives women empowerment is something that should be taken with the context of all the crime that occurs with stripping. Um, the article definitely challenges this notion and also notes that trafficking is a huge problem with stripping as it's a large source of where some strip clubs get strippers to work. The Jeffrey states that the profit strippers make is something that is very misunderstood. Strippers make varying amounts of money on weekends and weekdays. Some nights strippers might barely make any money, as most of the money goes to the owner rather than the workers. No benefits are given to the strippers, such as sick leave, um, and this leads to violence towards strippers in the strip club community. Owners regulate strippers' fares, pubic hair, tans yearly, and breast augmentation. Competition is maintained in clubs to maximize the owner's profits. So the owner will, hire more strippers than necessary in order for the strippers to compete against each other, and this definitely leads to varying wages. Um, Strippers are also very often taken advantage of by the owners, and this goes undocumented. And this kind of leads to why there's not much research on stripping. In the article, there's a quote by Holsopple that I thought was interesting that states common underlying element in strip clubs is that male customers, managers, staff, and owners use diverse methods of harassment, manipulation, exploitation, and abuse to control female strippers. So a little bit about the influence of strip clubs on society. Jeffrey shows how strip clubs heavily affect the societies they're present in. Women experience the harms of strip clubs even when they do not work in them, and she notes a loss of self-esteem. She quotes, "Men compare them with the women in pornography, that they are asked to perform poses and practices that come from pornography to satisfy their male partners, and that they have lost needed family income to men's obsession with pornography." So men see women in a different way due to strip clubs, and this influence strip clubs have should not be overlooked. Strip clubs have embedded themselves into business as it is normal in most countries for males to visit strip clubs as a part of their jobs. In London, I think the article states that 80% of businesses have strip clubs embedded in their work. And this reinforces the glass ceiling women experience in work, as women are pushed out of the equation when strip clubs are involved in a business. Jeffries argues that strip clubs are places where men go to feel more masculine and to feed into that toxic masculinity. Strip clubs give men the opportunity to objectify women and act in masculine ways they might normally not be able to engage in. And after men have felt a loss in power, as women gain more and more power, men feel threatened and have places like strip clubs to reinforce these negative feelings that they feel because they feel threatened by women, coming into power more recently. So I'm going to talk about the two articles that I found for my discussion question. The first article states that OnlyFans is changing their terms to allow for sexual content, to not allow for sexual content. In the past, OnlyFans has been praised for providing a safer place for sex workers to do their jobs, since strip clubs are, an actual location where sex workers go to do their work, whereas OnlyFans provides location-free zone for women to make money on the internet and not feel some of those violent implications that strip clubs have attached to them. And so my question for you guys is that Jeffrey states the implications of strip clubs on men's attitude towards women and the reinforcement of objectification of women strip clubs produce. Do you think that OnlyFans produces the same implications to our society? And do you think that the implications are lessened due to the absence of a location for men to practice this negative masculinity? So the second article I am using for my discussion question deals with some measures that were passed in California. So Los Angeles plans to require porn actors to wear condoms and requires producers associated with adult films to pay an annual fee to the county. And so this is meant to not only lessen the spread of STIs, but also to keep citizens from paying tax dollars for the porn industry and instead have the porn industry pay for itself. Another measure states that employees of adult entertainment must undergo bloodborne pathogen training. This is also meant to lessen the spread of STIs. People in this industry started to leave California after these changes in order to maximize their profits. Arguments against these presented measures include that information about STIs should lessen the spread of STIs rather than actually requiring the actors to wear condoms. Another argument says that making the porn industry pay annually would then lead to many people losing their jobs in the industry. So my question on this article is that Jeffries mentions in the article the negative effects strippers experience due to not being given protections other employees might receive in different industries. And California is attempting to protect workers in the porn industry through these measures. What sort of measures do you guys think might help reduce the violence and harassment strippers encounter on a daily basis? And that's the end of my presentation.